It's another offensive explosion for the Badgers. This team may never lose.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. I am your host, Ryan Harris, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you for helping us get there. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download that app today. Gentlemen, Wisconsin wins going away against, honestly, a pretty plucky and a more talented SIUE team than people realize. This was a tournament team last year. They have 7 people back from that team. They have some length and some athletes. Just like we did last week, let's start very big picture. Then we'll get into breaking it down. Justin, we'll start with you. Big picture on this game.
Yeah, this team could score. We scored 94. We probably could have scored 100 plus. They kind of tapered it down after the about 10-minute mark hit in the second half. But I have never seen a Badger team capable of scoring in bunches like this. We talked about it, or I threw it in the chat when we were watching the game on the Discord. We scored 16 points in the first 5 minutes of the second half. Like, that's incredible. And we have yet to have a game where I felt like we've really shot the lights out. We're just hitting at a normal clip right now. Typically, it's just a tick under 50%. 3-point shooting is ho-hum, like upper 30s. If they ever get a game where they actually are just on fire, they're going to end up dropping 110 on somebody.
Yeah, big picture for me is I'm really excited to see what this team does against better competition. Like, I'm glad that we've won. I'm glad that we've won by 20, 30 points. It's great. I'll be going to the BYU game this Friday night with Kevin Brown, our good buddy. One of the things that my early kind of big picture takeaways is that, and again, why I'm so excited to see what we do against better competition. I'm all about our threes. I'm all about the fact that we shoot a lot, but I also I think we settle a little bit too much. Okay. I understand that's part of what we're doing and we're playing this fast style, but there are times where I would like to see us work to get a little bit of a better shot at times. And I do think that might be something that holds us back as we progress into the tougher part of our schedule. I'm really excited to see what this team does. Clearly a ton of talent, really excited about it. I know we're going to get into a lot of detailed stuff, but overall good game. Hey, 4-0 to start the season. I'm never going to complain about that.
Offensively, I agree with you. Before I get to my big picture takeaway, and listen, I'm just going to say it. It doesn't have to be Stephen Crowl, but this is where you miss a guy like that, where you can throw the ball into the middle, you can get a post look, and then he throws it out for easier shots. This team right now, I thought Crowl or Winter would do a little bit more of that this year. I thought maybe they'd play a little more out of Blackwell out of the post. But right now, it is a little too perimeter-oriented. You can get perimeter shots, but do it by hitting the paint and then kicking out for wide open threes. And we don't do that very often. It does make for some spurts of 3 or 4 in a row, not great shots, decent shots, but not great ones. And I do think whether that's penetration from Boyd kicking out, or whether it's finding a guy that you can throw the ball into the paint and then kick out some easier shots, I think this offense is missing a bit of that element right now. And look out if they ever find it, by the way. If they ever find that gear, watch out. Because honestly, my big takeaway is this is a team that applies constant pressure. And if you don't continue to score, and for a while they were doing it. SIUE was continuing to score. They were they were making tough shots. But eventually, if you have a spurt, guys, where you don't make 2 or 3 buckets, this Badgers team is liable to just bury you. And that's my big picture takeaway. The pressure is constant with this offense.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other side of it is, like, defensively, we just have to continue to get a little bit better. Still not good, and we'll talk about it. But if this team can be super dangerous if we're hitting, and we can be a little bit better on the defensive side.
It's not good, but it's not bad. Like, last year we had times when we were just not great defensively. I feel like they've improved. A lot of that likely just due to the fact that there's a lot more size on this team. And I think guys like Rhodey are legitimately a pretty good defender. But yeah, there's room for growth there for this team for sure. But you have far more post mobility than we had last year. and just brute size. Like Bialuskas is legitimately really good from a positional standpoint on defense, and he plays really strong in the post. That's not something that we had a ton of last year.
Let's hit some superlatives. So again, we're going to kind of evolve these shows, but let's go superlatives. MVP of the game. I'll start here. For me, it's Blackwell, and you guys can feel free to add on to it or whatever. I think Blackwell, it was so nice after a couple games where I didn't think he was terrible, but you could tell he was deferring a little bit, maybe not as aggressive as you would like. Also against competition where they didn't necessarily need him. He was so efficient. 24 points, incredibly efficient, 5 of 6 from 3. I think he started 5 of 5, and he just showed you the floor game. He doesn't have to force it, but when he wants it, he can get the shots he wants. Incredibly smooth. MVP of the game for me, John Blackwell.
Yeah, it's 1A and 1B for me. John Blackwell is certainly up there, but Nick Boyd, fantastic today. What we've seen in the first 4 games is him just getting slow. He's building into this team, right? He's quickly getting to know these guys better. It doesn't look as erratic. It looked very controlled. I mean, 13 shots today, yes, but he scored 22 points, 5 assists, no turnovers. Fantastic stat there. My favorite stat there. And he had 2 steals. And he had a few rebounds too, 3 rebounds. Just an all-around good game from him. Really like the poise he brings on the court. He's very confident. It's just nice to have someone who you can trust in the backcourt. When you've got Blackwell, we all trust Blackwell. But when you have Boyd back there too, you're like, okay, I'm good. We've got 2 great guards who can really move the ball and find guys. And that's exciting. So yeah, Nick Boyd for me. I'm probably going to go Nick Boyd and then Blackwell just under him, 1A, 1B.
Yeah, I'm just going to say the starting 5. We had 16 bench points in this game. So basically, we dropped 78 on them with our starters. That group can just flat out put points on the board at a very high clip. I think we'd all agree that the bench is a work in progress. I think there's some nice pieces on it. We're in a far better place, I think, than we've normally been, where you have guys that you think can give you quality minutes. But the starting group is just capable of going out there and blitzing teams right now. And I don't see that changing in the Big Ten. I think they're legitimately a good enough passing team, and they move the ball very quickly, which is going to cause some teams to really struggle to get in position defensively to cut them off.
Justin, let's stay with you on that. The player you wanted to see more from today.
Yeah. Winter was kind of hit or miss in this game. Like, I would have liked to have seen him be a little bit more aggressive offensively. And he just didn't have the best shooting day from the perimeter. Still, he's consistently solid. He rebounded well in this game, but it's not what we've gotten accustomed to in the first 3 games. Like, he was a better scorer. He seemed like he was a little bit more locked in from a scoring standpoint. Today, he was kind of a little off his game offensively.
Yeah, for me, I agree, Nolan Winter there. I just think that, like, ultimately he took 8 shots. I didn't mind any of his threes. He just missed them. That's not what bothers me today. I think he just needs to be a little more active. He did have 8 rebounds, which is fine. But and maybe it's just not his game. And maybe that's just what I've said about, but I just want him to be more active on the inside. You can catch a ball in the post. You can make a move. He has that hook shot. He can do a little more down there. It takes his game to a new level if he can play inside and outside. And I'm a little bit upset by the fact that we're not seeing that from him. So I'm going to keep saying I want more from Winter until I see a little bit more down low, and maybe we don't. And he didn't play poorly. It's just wasn't my favorite. I would also say, as like a side note to that, was Jack Janicki. I mean, he had 16. He played 16 minutes, and he didn't really do much of anything
almost fouled
other
out.
than the hustle. The hustle plays. Yeah, he did almost foul out. The 4 fouls. The hustle plays are always there for him, and I appreciate that. But he is our first guy off the bench. Like, he does have the most minutes of any of the bench players when he's gonna need to produce. So I figured by year 2 of seeing Jack Janicki, we were going to see a bit more offense, and that's what we've got. We've got to get more there.
I think those are the 2 for me. It's Janicki and it's Winter. On Winter's front, he just needs to be a little more aggressive and a little more physical.
Yeah,
just a little bit. And I think he's trying to figure it out, right? I think he's trying to be a 5, but he's really been a 4 his whole career, and he's got a little more weight. But dude, a couple times when they're icing the screen or they're switching it, you dive hard and seal off and say ball, and boom, go up and get fouled, right? A couple times a game, he's got to do that. And a lot of times when he rolls to the paint, it's not with the required force or the required assertion. It doesn't always look like he wants the ball when he rolls. And if you're a rim rolling big, you got to do that. You got to just hard roll, seal off, yell for the ball.
It's a development thing too. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. I think it's a development thing. Like, I mean, as a 4, he should know how to do that too. He should have done that as a 4 growing up too. I mean, he's like, when you're 6'10", you should always have that in your bag. Like, I'm sorry, but you need to have that in your bag if you're 6'10". So what I'm saying is like, yeah, like Gregor needs to work on this. Like Steamsma, you have to work on this. It has to be something that can be coached into his guy. It's his 3rd year. Like he needs to be able to do this, and he has the skills. It's all right here. I think he absolutely has everything he needs to be that kind of a player.
I only laughed because 6'10" guys aren't wired quite that way anymore. You're like, he's 6'10", he should be able to do that. I'm like, a lot of 6'10" guys never step foot in the paint anymore in basketball. Like it's just.
Maybe,
different.
I don't know. You got to have it, though.
So I have a question for you guys on Janicki. Do you think he is a little too out of control and that's affecting how he plays?
I think he tries to do a little too much, to be honest. I think his game needs to be scaled back a tiny
bit. He
bit.
feels rushed, especially in shooting. Like sometimes when he shoots the ball, I'm like, you look like that guy is just playing a tick too fast. And you can see it in his jumper, the way it comes off. Like when it hits the rim, it comes off like a cannon shot, and it's normally super long rebounds. And it just feels like there's a lack of finesse in his game right now that would really help him, because if he could just become a solid 3-point shooter off the bench, it would immensely help this team, having that just extra guy that you could put out there. And right now he ain't it.
I want him to get more aggressive. I want to drive more. Like attack the rim a bit more, because then you can get fouled, get on the foul line, make a couple points, see the ball go through the basket. Like I want him to be a bit more aggressive and attack the rim.
I think he needs to see a couple go in too. He's in a bit of a shooting slump. He's a guy who I think needs to see a couple go in. All right, let's take a quick second here. We're going to go back with the best thing you saw today. Kind of big picture recap from this first, I would call it tune-up games before we hit the real stretch. What do we expect to happen next for the Badgers? Plus your comments, all that and more coming up on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick second for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. The NBA is back. FanDuel is your ultimate source for all of the NBA action you can get your hands on, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Right now, even if you miss the start of the game or if you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel's live bets on everything from who's going to score next to those fourth quarter comebacks. If your team is either giving it up or they're coming back, you can take those live in-game bets, same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. It keeps the game more exciting. You can stay engaged even if the game has kind of gotten out of hand, which is a ton of fun. Again, especially if you're following your favorite team. Right now, FanDuel's giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. Head over to FanDuel.com to sign up today. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's come back on this. Rajiv, we'll let you kick this one off. What's the best thing you saw today?
Passing to me was the best thing that I saw today. 19 assists, 4 turnovers. I think that Nick Boyd was the epitome of that. I just feel like this team shares the ball really well. They play super unselfish. And like, for me, do I think we shoot too quick? Yes. But a lot of them are open. I heard some people say in the comments saying, no open three is a bad shot. And I don't disagree, but I also feel like we can do a little bit more there. But yeah, the passing on this team, the unselfishness, when you have 19 assists and 4 turnovers, you're doing something right. And this is a trend. It's not just a single data point. All we keep seeing from this team is aggressive passing, moving the ball, good off-ball movement. I can't wait to see that in person on Friday. Like I love the passing on this team. It is consistently the thing that I love the most about what we're seeing so far.
Best thing I saw today, guys. 1-3-1 zone, baby. Let's go.
I knew you were going to say that.
Ryan has been begging for that for over a decade.
How many plays?
Dude, listen, I'll say this. I think it's incredibly important as a coach, and play man 98% of the time, 95% of the time. This team's always going to be a bread and butter man team, and the great teams are bread and butter man teams. You have to be able to play good man. I also think it's really important to have a changeup in your back pocket that at a very critical time, out of a timeout, in a critical possession, when they've drawn something up, you can go out there and you can throw something different. And you can change 2 or 3 possessions, which in a tight game can change the game. I loved it. And quite frankly, this team with a long and mobile Nolan Winter, with a really long and active Andrew Rhodey, with tough guards, with size everywhere and length, but maybe not physicality, but length everywhere, this team could be a really effective 1-3-1 zone team. I loved it. I loved it. I was excited for it. They got a turnover. They didn't give up any points in the zone.
They did give up, but they did give up a 2 in the zone.
Actually, the first one was a turnover. They got a steal. Yeah. I just love having that in the back pocket. So that was the best thing I saw today.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with him. He's my dude this season. Bialuskis, 8 points, 4 boards. And we were talking about it in the chat. I said, is he the best true freshman big we've had since Lure? And I think that that's actually up for debate because Hap didn't play until redshirt freshman.
Mm-hmm.
So of the guys who played their first year, now he is a little older, and you could tell like he's been drilled really well playing in Lithuania because he is advanced defensively compared to what we're used to from a true freshman. Really seems to understand positioning and where he's supposed to be on the court in terms of being able to cut off guys from being able to attack him in the post or just flat out being able to rebound and set himself up. And rebound's really strong for a true freshman. So I love seeing a guy like that you know you're going to have for multiple years going forward. And you can kind of bank on it that like this guy's floor is going to be super high for us every year. It's really nice to have that type of piece coming off the bench and know that you're going to have him for a while.
Yeah, that's well said. I'll throw an additional one in here. It's nice to see the backcourt of Blackwell and Boyd come together in the same game. You know, both over 20. You can
5
really,
assists.
Yeah, you can really start to see where those two can play off of each other. They can kind of take turns yo-yoing the lead alpha in this offense. This team is going to be really tough to score if both those players are efficient, if they're both hitting threes, if they're both in the 20s. And then you have Rapp coming in with 15. It's just a tough offense. But it was nice to see those two kind of gel as well. Any other really big picture good things you saw here before I kind of kick it into what's your biggest concern remaining with this team?
I think that I like the fact that we're still playing 10 guys, you know, and like that's 8 minutes was Hayden Jones, which is to me is obviously is a key contributor there. And I think that's great. I like the fact that we're playing 10 guys. I don't know that it stays a 10-man rotation for that long, but I think there is depth in there. And I think Greg Gart's trying to find where the bench scoring is going to come from, which is totally good with me. But I appreciate the rotation still being at 10.
All right, guys, let's get this in the chat as well. Justin, we'll start with you on this one. After this kind of tune-up stretch, what is your biggest remaining concern with this Badgers team before they're set to kick off a harder part of their schedule?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to me that I'm concerned with is interior defense still. If they play a team with a big that's physical, they're going to struggle because we don't have a lot of size that's capable of bodying up and really defending somebody. We might really get lucky against BYU if Kita's out. I think I'm pretty sure he got a concussion in the game against UConn. If he's out, that really hurts them because he's one of the only guys with true size on that team that's a problem to deal with. So that could be a huge, mark in our favor for that game. But we're going to face a couple of teams this year, especially in the tournament, if we can make a run in it, where you're going to have somebody that's going to be a problem. And I don't know who we throw at them because Winter's really not the guy to try and body somebody like that. Crowl was much better at getting physical his last couple of years than what we've seen from Winter so far.
I got to put this comment up here already. Realist says blaming Rajiv for the BYU game. Yeah, I mean, I am going to that game, so I could see that happening. Yeah, like as Justin said, interior defense certainly that's a thing. I think just defense in general. It's not to sound so simplistic, but it's just too easy for people to get good shots. Like I want it to be a little harder for guys to get good looks. And to be fair, at times in the first half, I thought we were playing decent defense. And SIUE was just draining shots. Like they were making tough shots. And I'm not going to complain about, when we force them to tough shots. But other times I'm like, it's just too easy. And then, we finally play good defense. And then there's a guy on the weak side just rebounding the ball right there and putting it back up and stuff like that. So there's just overall defensively. But I will, just to add something else offensively, as I kind of mentioned a little bit before, I'm not worried offensively, but I would prefer a little bit better shot selection just in general. There's no need to settle for that. It's not hurting us now. It will hurt us against BYU. It will hurt us against Providence and Florida and Marquette, and you go on, and the list goes on. That needs to be a little tightened up. And I don't want to complain too much about the offense, but that is a concern I have.
No, and to be fair, I asked you guys both for what's your biggest concern, right? So it's hard to evaluate the team fully after a couple tune-up games, but actually that's where I'm at, Rajiv, too. It's not as much the interior defense, although I totally get where Justin's coming from. I mean, I like our combined height. I think there's a lot of guys that can kind of come over and bother shots. We're not going to physically outperform a tough team.
Yeah, a skilled guy on the post is going to eat it. He's going to take our lunch.
He is. But I think offensively, man, as much as we can put pressure on teams and go on runs, we can also go 5 or 6 possessions if we're not searching for better shots without scoring. And if our defense
100%.
is what it is, just like we can bury a team can bury us kind of quickly. If it comes back to there's a little too much standing around, passing around the perimeter and trying to be one-on-one and find those shots and not enough, let's engineer higher quality looks. Like I would love to see more Rhodey and pick and roll. I would love to see more Winter or Blackwell in the post, and you throw it to him and then let him play as a playmaker from the post where people are having to double him, and then you're creating space. Against better teams, against teams with really tough athletic guards and wings and forwards, it's going to be hard for the Badgers if you don't get more inside to engineer those three-point shots. So I think some of the offensive stagnation is probably my biggest concern right now. It's not a major concern. Like Rajiv, you said, like they're averaging 90 plus. Like the offense is fine. Against better teams, it could struggle in times.
And we're going to see. We're going to find out very quickly on Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see if that is actually the case. Mm-hmm. I do think that this starting 5, literally anybody can go for 15. Like that's a problem. There's not many teams in the country that have that. Most teams have maybe a couple guys that you feel confident being able to do that. I think Rhodey's going to have the hardest time getting there, but literally every single one of them is capable of it.
I think it's really well said. And
I definitely feel like we could have I feel like we could have a situation where teams are going to just play almost small ball against us a little bit and guard that perimeter really well and force us to take the ball down low and see what we can do. And that we'll find out if we have.
We've done a pretty good job of exploiting that though. Like they've put wrap and stuff in the post and just thrown over the top and just taking it. I think that's exactly what our response is going to be to that if they decide to go small. Him on a 6'8" guy, he should be able to consistently score on that.
Yeah, they have played a lot of high-low this year with the two bigs, but even then, at times, like better forwards and athletes are going to take that away.
Yeah,
like,
a really athletic guy is going to maybe cause some problems with it.
It's going to be very interesting to see. All right, let's take a quick break for Friends of the Show. We're going to come back with your comments, your thoughts, final thoughts from the three of us for another really strong Badgers performance. And the Badgers are 4-0. It's something to celebrate for sure. All right, let's hit some of these comments here. So let's come back out of this. Your comments, your thoughts. Let's hit some of these starred ones. Let's start with, I'll start with this one. Will Hanna says, chances of Blackwell staying is very slim. Again, we're just going through some of the starred comments. I think probably, but I said in the Discord, we are in an era where if he doesn't grade out highly enough in the NBA says, for whatever reason, we don't think you're a first-round pick. There's a scenario where you just, with a big NIL paycheck, you can convince a guy like that to stay for a fourth year. That's kind of the power of NIL now. So I would agree. I think it's likely he's gone next year, guys, but I don't think it's a slam dunk. All right, let's go. Rajiv, Josh says, did we take a bad 3 tonight? Overall thoughts on shot selection?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the threes were fine. I think they were rushed, as I've said a couple times, but no, the threes themselves didn't bother me as far as we didn't take a bad 3. There wasn't anything super forced. There wasn't anything like late shot clock. I think we were able to get ourselves into pretty decent shots overall.
Justin, thoughts on Boyd today from Marley?
This is the best game I've seen from him since the start of the season. 5 assists. I felt like he really facilitated a lot better in this game. That's been an area that has been left us wanting in these first 3 games. I think there was a concern there about whether he was too focused on his scoring. He was much better all around today than what we've seen from him in the first few games.
Herb says, we are 7 deep, I think. So let me think, and maybe this is a good one to kick around to everybody. How deep do you guys think we actually are? You have the 5 starters, Janicki. I thought Carrington was good today.
I think they're at least 8.
I think they're 8
9.
with Bielewskis.
It's to me, it's 9 because you've got to have 2 bigs. Bielewskis and Garlock are the 2 bigs, and the 2 guards are Carrington and Janicki. I think I'm not saying that we're 9 deep as far as super heavy production off the bench, but I think you're going to see 9 guys consistently because how are you going to get away with only bringing in 1 big or one guard? You're going to have 9.
Yeah, I think it's 9 deep. Is it a really good 9? I think that's questionable, right?
I don't think it's bad though either.
How is Garlock going to play against much better athletes, much more experienced athletes, bigger front courts that can really challenge him athletically from a lateral standpoint? But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's 9 deep. It's 8 at least.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, it's just 9 is an issue though, because Garlock is. You're right. Like listen again. We're gonna see it this weekend. The Big Ten play, boy. The Big Ten players are gonna have fun with Garlock. He's got to get toughened up quickly.
I know this is a basketball show, but Rajiv, Justin, Will Hanna says Wisconsin 23, Illinois 20. Quick thoughts.
Buddy, I don't know. I want to believe that we can get this done. At the end of the day, it's about whether or not we can score points. And can we score a point? Like, listen, Brett Bielema we all know what kind of coach he is and what he's going to come in here and do. Luke Altmaier, I've said all year, is a very good quarterback. I think it's going to be close, but I just don't see how we're going to get points, guys. I just don't.
We've barely scored 23 points in the last 3 games combined. It feels like a pretty big jump to suddenly put up 23. I said I thought if we were going to win this, it's probably going to be like 20-17. We're going to need Carter to make a fairly large jump this week if we're going to get to 20 plus.
Yeah, I think realistically, if we win, I think we got to win like 17-10, 13, and it's got to be
or 9-6
or 9-6.
The defense is capable of causing that.
The defense has been playing great. Illinois is solid, though. It's going to be hard to hold them to like 10 points.
If we're going to score 20,
we can just really come downhill at them.
If we're going to score 20, it's going to be a defensive score. It's going to have to take Mason Posa, scoop and score. That's what we need.
All right, Bo Dragon. Winter is not better than Crowl. Thank you. No, Winter's good. Actually, that's a good question, guys. Do you like in this type of offense? There's really not a wrong answer, right? It's all opinions. In this type of offense, with what the Badgers want to do, Crowl last year or Winter this year, who would you prefer at the 5? For me, I think it is Crowl.
It's Crowl last year for sure at the 5. Like I want Crowl and Winter. That's what I really want. But if I have to choose one to play the 5, I'm absolutely taking Crowl all day right now. But again, that doesn't mean I don't like Winter. But if you're asking for the 5, it's clear.
As a player in general, I'd say Winter this year. As having to play the 5, you'd have to say Crowl because he's better defensively.
Winter's a more physically talented kid.
Yeah.
He's more skilled, but like Crowl just gives you a little bit more at the 5, I think, and I think that's fair. And Pedro says, I think it's a wash considering the offense. I think that's fair too. There's not like a slam dunk answer either way there. No, we like both of those players. Last question here, Justin Rajiv, Realist says, love pushing the ball in transition, fun team to watch. Do you guys ever see or ever think when some of these shots are going up and they're pushing the ball in transition that, gosh, we could probably, again, maybe Rajiv, to your point, maybe there's a little better shot there. Sometimes transition's a little too much.
I mean, it's yeah. And we listen, it's fine for now, but I'm telling you, like, we're going to come on a reaction show soon and we're going to be like, we took so many stupid shots. And that's why we're going to say that. And I just want that to be corrected now.
I do want to counter that a little bit because this is one of the stats that stood out to me the most in this game. We outscored them 26-4 points off turnovers. And the bulk of that was because of our transition game.
Yeah. That's fair. I'll say this too. I remember when there's a great book, 7 Seconds or Less, from Coach D'Antonio from the NBA. And he used to talk about, because he would play a very fast system. And he said, it's not really about the fast system. What the fast system does is it lures the other team into the style you want to play and they're not comfortable playing. And I think you saw some of that tonight, right? You lure them into playing your style, and eventually their shots are more inefficient because they don't want to play that style. But all players at their heart want to go up and down. They all want to go up and down the court, jack shots. So if you can lure them into playing your style, defensively, you're going to ultimately be a little better because they're going to take worse shots than you because that's not how they want to play, and it is how you want to play.
Well, and typically they're worse defensively too because they're not able to get into their defensive sets and really kind of get set up. Like, you're getting a much better opportunity to catch them off guard or out of position. It is kind of 6 in one, half dozen in the other, guys. And I'll also say this really quick, and I'll finish on this point. For me, you can't open that can of worms if you're Greg Gard and say we want to play loose, free, flexible, fine early shots, and then say, whoa, but not that early shot. Right? There's a balance there as a coach. I think you can find that balance, though. I think he needs to find it because, like, I disagree. Are you saying you just have to live with that? Is that what you're saying? I'm saying to some degree, yes. If you're going to want to play this style of offense to some degree, you have to be hands off. You have to be.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I just think that we've got experienced players on this team, and there are just times where I'm like, we don't need the with 26 seconds left on the shot clock to fire up a three. I don't think we need that. Like, I'm not saying don't take a three. I'm just saying make a couple passes first and get a good one, because when we did pass the ball around the floor a little bit, we got some wide open threes. I have zero issue with that.
I feel like this team actually did do a pretty good job of not forcing things, though, because we played with them kind of for the first 10 or so minutes of the first half and just kind of played their game for a bit, and then just saw a gap and ran with it, which is where we built the lead. And then the second half, they did it again. Like, they don't seem to push it and just force it and get out of control, which is what some teams do when they start to play that way. Like, we've all watched games where you'd watch Kentucky and North Carolina, and you watch 4 turnovers in a row because they go up and down the floor trying to push transition so much that guys just lose the ball because they're out of control. We have been pretty controlled in our movement. You can argue some of the shots. I'd agree with that. Sometimes we have taken shots that I'm like, but I don't feel like they've really we've seen them look like they're putting themselves in bad situations.
Christopher Gerber with a good point here. Bad shots are bad shots regardless of pace. I agree with that. But I think what this offense is doing is it's finding quick, good shots instead of taking time and trying to find great shots later in the shot clock. And they're going to settle for those good shots over potentially finding great shots later, because you don't always find that great shot later. Now, to Rajiv's point, I agree with you too. I do think occasionally I would love to hit some inside post shots, inside post looks to open up the offense more. I think there's layers to this offense that aren't unlocked yet.
You put Garlock at the point?
I mean, listen, I wouldn't hate Garlock going down to 5 and just throw it into him a couple times and see what happens.
Yep.
No, at the point.
Oh,
it's
no,
passing skills.
No. And Josh Rubel says, love Rajiv. We all
He's
love
a dime machine.
But all those threes were open in rhythm. Embrace the pace. That needs to be on a t-shirt. Embrace the pace.
That's good. Nice, Josh.
Good. Last thoughts, guys. We'll wrap it up here. We're at 31 minutes. Again, I appreciate every single person on it that helps this community, that joins on the shows. Mike is, again, behind the mic, organizing all the comments. He's incredible. Obviously appreciate the hell out of Rajiv and Justin as well. Great dudes, and they have their own channel. Go check them out on the Bucket Report. Guys, last thoughts. Rajiv, we'll start with you to wrap this up.
Yeah, like, so 94 points again. We're scoring points. We're playing good, really good start. We've got a tough stretch coming up. So let's see what we can do with that. Really excited. If anyone's going to the BYU game, hit me up. Really, really pumped about going to that game. And this is a non-Wisconsin note. For anyone who's a golfer out there, they will appreciate this. Today, I had my first ever hole-in-one, which was awesome. I went absolutely nuts. So if you're into golf, I hope you all have had one. I've never had one until now.
This is
135
awesome.
Yards into the wind,
Good day
9
for me.
iron. Let's go.
Come on in here, buddy.
We got to play you
that line.
This is awesome.
This is awesome.
Justin, last thoughts.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me looking at this team is I really am curious to see how this team reacts to playing better teams in terms of their pace. Do we suddenly drop down into the 70s? Do we stay up in the 80s? Teams continue to try to run with us. How does it affect our scoring? Do we lose efficiency? We've been kind of a metronome right now these first 4 games in terms of the shooting percentages. We've been really consistently in that mid to upper 40% range, and pretty darn good from 3-point. Like, we're not shooting off the charts, but we haven't had a bad game yet. And I'm very curious to see if better teams affect that in any way, or if we continue to be roughly at the same, amount of scoring.
I think my final thought is I'm pretty excited about this team. I'm pretty excited about this team. I know it feels like maybe we're nitpicking a little bit, but it's because you have to still look at critical things. You still have to ask critical questions. And there are some real questions with this team. But, guys, I like this team. And I look at it. There was a point in the game where my son was watching with me in his limited attention span. I got him for a couple minutes. And I was telling him, Link, every player on the court right now is new. Every player on the court for this Badgers team is a point when Winter was on the floor, on the bench. And I think we haven't fully acknowledged how many new pieces are on this team and how it's still coming together.
How young a lot of them are.
And how young and how they haven't played together. And we're only 4 games in and we're still dropping 90 bombs. there are layers for this offense that's going to unlock as these players learn to play with each other that we haven't seen yet. So it's nitpicking, but man, I like this team. I'm excited for it.
Man, it's going to be a fun season, guys. It's going to be a fun season.
Yeah. Low key, best Badger team. Like, this is a team that's never going to be able to be put away this season because they can drop points like an avalanche on teams, and even good teams may struggle with them at times when they get hot.
They're going to be a team that can come back on folks too. They may get down 15 or 20 and then go on a 17-3 run.
Instead of Nebraska doing it to us, we can do it to them this year.
We will. All right, we'll wrap it up there, y'all. Thank you so much. Mr. October says the return of positive Ryan. I'm always positive, dude. I'm like the most positive guy ever. You guys don't say anything.
Except on Saturday's reaction show.
Unless he's talking about Jeff Grimes.
Yeah, let's talk about Jeff Grimes. Are we positive now?
We're out of time. We are out of time on this show. They are cutting us. The tweets are calling me. That is the end of the show on Wisconsin. Appreciate you guys so much, and we will talk tomorrow.